scope, his capacity. He would bind this angel by sigils. These angels are distinct from one another because they all have different sigils that they are bound to. 10 distinct sigils. From the head all the way to those that are beneath the head. They are bound by sigils. The sigil that God will create to bind the head would be different than the sigil that would be created that the head would use to control those beneath it. 20 sigils. This is what distinguishes Adam from these fallen angels. Adam, Eve, and their descendants are not bound by sigils, not by God. They are bound by a word. And this is how these entities will be so obsessed with trying to reverse engineer how God created this. They're trying to reconstruct or reverse engineer the sound mechanism that God used to create. Because this was a new thing. This was something that this is why God says there was none like him. I created him from the visible and the invisible, all through sound. So these fallen ones are bound by sigils. Nimrod is not bound by a sigil. If Nimrod was bound by a sigil, they would be controlling Nimrod. They could find the sigil, they could find the science, because that too is what they are bound to. And they could use that science to control Nimrod. But Nimrod is not bound to that particular science. This is why God disembodied them. We're looking at oil and water here. The same, but different. Yet what we find is that instead of, initially, I'm sure they were working hand in hand with Nimrod and saying, this is a joint effort. We need each other in this. You know, God has flooded the world. They're capitalizing on the catastrophe. Remember, Noah and his descendants know what happened before the flood, but they don't know like the fallen ones know. These fallen ones were revered prior to the flood. And now they're disembodied. And Noah and his descendants are having to go it alone. So there's certain levels of comforts that came from having these fallen ones that Noah and his descendants don't have any longer. And they're having to get their intelligences up and their wherewithal up so that they can create levels of comfort for their own selves that are not contingent upon what the fallen ones bring to the table. And it takes time to do these things. Seasons and many, many years, trial and error. And because they want the comfort. Why are we going through this? Why are we reinventing the wheel? Why don't we just deal with these people? Oh, they need us to make them a vessel? Okay, well, let's make them a vessel. We'll make them a vessel if they can increase the crops. We'll make them a vessel if they can help us make this boat and give us the wisdom of how to navigate and all these different things. But what I want you to focus on is that these fallen ones, Satan himself also, all of them bound to sigils. And this is how they are able to control. This is how Satan's kingdom is not divided. Satan can control his kingdom by way of sigils. What are sigils? So a sigil